Omorego ni ojibarago, agomojuba elekwa etulona. Ibarago, agomojuba, omorego ni ojibarago, agomojuba elekwa etulona. Para la jiki mojuba. Ibarago, agomojuba, omorego ni ojibarago, agomojuba.
All right. Look at this. We've got a full house tonight. And it's mostly ladies. So anyway, I want to say thank you to everybody who's tuning in. Hello and welcome to Ancestral Eyes. We have tonight's show. It's dedicated to the women and the ladies. And before I go any further, I want to say welcome to Beth Peart Weekes. Hello, Beth. Welcome.
Hello.
And welcome. I want to say hello to Sue Arencibia. Hello, my dear. Good to see you.
I wonder if Sue can hear
Hello.
me. There she is.
There she is. And I want to say hello to Ade, who is officially known as Iyanifa, Oorun, or Mocu. Hello, Ade. How are you?
Hello to everyone. Hi to everybody. And to other Iyanifas we have in line too. Any Boroi Boye Bochiche for all of you too. John.
Thank you. Yes. And welcome to Jean Jerome, my co-host. We also are going to be joined by Melissa, maybe a little bit later. Melissa Gerard, or am I mispronouncing her last name? Garado. Okay. She may be joining us a little bit later, and she also may be tuning out a little bit sooner than most of us. So anyway, so before we go any further, I want Jean Jerome to be able to give the intro to our guests and explain all the terminology, okay? Because I called this show, this episode, the African Traditional Religion and the Women of. So we need some clarification. So Jean Jerome, could you do us a favor, do a quick little intro, bio, and then get into the terminology? So we're going to hit it that way before we get into the actual discussions and questions, okay? Take it away, Jean Jerome.
Welcome everybody who's tuning in, to all our faithful followers, to the ladies, Iyanifa, Oorun, Mocu, Apetebi Beth Peart Weekes, Iyalorisa, Arencibia, and to Iyalorisa, Melissa Gerardo. Today's discussion, we're very happy. Many of these lovely ladies have been former guests and are also part of our religious family. And they come from various traditions, cultures, and ethnic backgrounds. But they all have wonderful history and stories to tell about their journeys, both their spiritual journeys, and especially as they came into the Afro-descendant belief systems like Ifa-Orisa, Regla de Ocha, also through YTR, Yoruba traditional religion, Esinibile Orisa and Ifa-Orisa, and also ATR, other different ethnic and belief systems, such as Inkiti, which is also present in the Afro-descendant belief systems of Palo Mayombe, Kimbisa, and so forth. And it's very important to understand that many, especially in the diaspora, over the last 10, 20 years, have had, thanks to travel, thanks to communications, have had an opportunity to really learn from the best in both worlds, both sides of the Atlantic, and be able to share and exchange in a richness of culture, tradition, and religious practice that really, as we've often said, for Ifa and Orisha, Ifa is only one. Whether it's practiced in Nigeria, whether it's practiced in Benin as Vodunfa or Fagbasa, whether it's practiced in Togo or Ghana as Afa, whether it's practiced in Cuba as Ifa. The essence of the spirituality, although there are differences in practice and in certain ways of developing or carrying on some of the ceremony, but the essence is the same and the principles are pretty much the same. And what we wanted to do this evening is to really take on a difficult topic. In which case, I will allow the rest of the show will mostly be the ladies speaking and telling their stories, their real stories, not theoretical, not just academic, although many of them have done extensive research and had the privilege of working with mentors and academics as well as practitioners of both the traditional and the Afro-descendant, but to really speak from their own experience as women and their own experience as women that are born from other cultures outside of Nigeria and other ethnic groups. So, and to show the universality, in a sense, of Ifa in its spirituality, in its appeal, and the fact that Ifa speaks to all lands, all races, all creeds, all genders, all sexual orientation. Ifa is universal. So without further ado, I turn it back to you, Teresa, and to the ladies to tell a little bit about their stories and their experiences.
Yes. Okay. So let us start with Beth. Beth, if you could give us a little bit of background with your actual path and how you came upon that.
Oh, it's been a swervy one for sure. I've been kind of a lover of things African since I was small, but if you had asked me 30 years ago, would I be on this path today, I would have asked you to go and get your head read. But it kind of crept up on me, and I actually started going to a drum circle, and the drum circle morphed into a religious practice group. And through that, I was introduced to initially Yoruba traditional religious Babalawo, and spent some time in that circle, and then decided to move away from that for a bit, and kind of made up my mind that I wasn't going to do anything or go out and get involved with anything until I was 100% comfortable. And you know how when you get an idea, it often becomes manifest when you put things out to the universe.
Absolutely. And it makes it so.
Sharon came along, and that made a huge difference in my appreciation of the religion. But I've essentially been through 3 or 4 different iterations of descendant religion, African descendant religion, and African, like traditional Yoruba religious practice before arriving here. And I'm a little bit of everything, I guess. I've got Ikofa as my level of initiation, which is kind of the beginner level, if you will. But I've been in the religion, in the practice for better than a decade at this point, and
already, wow.
Yeah, it's been a while. So
no, for sure.
My first encounter was in 2004. 2006, I had an initiation that, in retrospect, no traditionalist of Cuba nor of West Africa would probably recognize as being valid at all. But what it did was it opened up a desire.
It opened the door.
To learn more. It opened the door, and the more I discovered, the more I realized that I needed to study more, and I needed to find the right people to study around. And at that time too, I was also exploring the the internet, as so many new people do, and fell into a Facebook group of sort of independent, that is people that didn't have resident Iles where they live. And that's actually how I came to know Sue. And I've got several different good friendships that have come out of that environment. And Sue's been really instrumental and helpful in terms of my learning more about divination and everything in general, because she's like a walking encyclopedia of experience. And that's kind of where I come from in a nutshell.
Thank you. Good one. And so now I'm going to move to Sue Arencibia. Could you give us a little bit of a background? Because I know your story is fascinating. We all look up to you to teach us.
No, thank you. This is my dog Shauna, who is very interested in getting some attention right now. And I started out as a tradition like Beth. I started out in a religious studies group in Cleveland, Ohio, and we went to visit a friend of ours who had moved to New York, and he was studying at John Jay College, and there was a woman who was a secretary in the anthropology department whose name was Mimi Torres, who was initiated for Iyanifa. And she then introduced us to Nigerian Babalawo by the name of Fola Ipega, who that's how I got my first reading ever. My first reading ever was an Ifa reading. And so at that point he was going to come to Cleveland to do the Eva that was marked in these readings for me and my friend who was with me. And so her reading was a lot more serious than mine was. Hers indicated that if she were a man, because Paul was of the Holy Rainbow tradition, if she were a man, she would have been initiated on the spot.
Oh boy!
I don't remember what Odu came, but it was serious. And she was angry because she couldn't get initiated to Ifa. So she was very upset about that. But he came to Cleveland and did some initiations that would probably not be recognized by anybody. A lot of people still have these initiations and count themselves as initiated. He did those initiations himself. By himself, one person, one priest, by himself.
Okay, interesting.
And so things went in a different direction, and I decided that was not the place for me because some things were happening with that group, and went away from the tradition for about 7 years until I started having issues. I started getting depressed, like really depressed, and I knew what the problem was, and I went to the local botanica and said, I need to get a reading. And the woman starts looking through this little notebook saying, oh, here's a tarot reader. And I said, you know what I mean? And she says, oh, and here it is. So she gave me the number of this Cuban guy who was working the religion out of his house on the west side of Cleveland. And that's where I got my careers, my first set of Leke at Oloku. And
oh boy,
things went very quickly from there. I went to Chicago to get a reading, and it really indicated that from Baba Falokun, and it indicated I really did need to get initiated. And he says, well, I know a couple people in Cleveland. You can call them both and see if they can help you out. So I did. And That's when I met a boy a day who's now known as Lola, and she lives in Jackson, Mississippi. Now, at that time, she lived in Canton, Ohio. I was initiated in Canton, Ohio. Probably the first, last, and only person to ever be initiated in Canton, Ohio. And after that, she moved back to Chicago during my yellow year, which was really interesting. And so during my Yawo years, when I got one hand of Ifa from Baba Wande Abimbola, and because my Ajabona is linked with that house. Yeah, so my Ajabona is linked with that house. She was initiated for in the Lumi tradition, and then went her husband and other people went to Oyo to get initiated in the egg baby, because that's how he does it. He has people take him to the egg bay of the Orisha.
Okay.
So now I'm working with a Luku house down in the Tampa Bay area with Manny Oloyoba, the Osaini stuff. So
okay,
that's the short version.
And that's a short
I
story.
have Paulo
Okay.
as well. I was stretched to Paulo.
That's right. I was just.
Yeah, that's
I
the
was just
short
gonna
version. Yes,
ask about
so
that.
and I'm a young kid as well.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that.
That's
And
part of my story.
Ade. All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Ade, your story. Tell us a little bit about yours before we dive into our questions.
I think we're gonna need a couple of days for it, basically, to be honest, because this comes from since I was born,
That's
I mean,
right.
all this, uh, it's a long, long, long story. It comes from my grandma, which is a native, and I was born and she brings me to this world. So since then, that's how everything starts from these different
Right.
places, countries where I've been and
Mhm.
become a Iyanifa. So it's a lot to explain about myself
Yeah.
and having all this initiations since I was little too. So
Right. Right.
and I guess it's a lot of explaining. So you guys have the time? Do we have popcorn around there, please? Because you know what? There's something I enjoy. I enjoy who I am. I love it. Even though it was so much difficult for me on every time I will go to a different place to do my initiations. You know what I mean? Because from let's go from Mexico to let's go for Cuba, and then we go to tradition without me asking. All these are coming my own way. So
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, it's a privilege for me, and it's an honor to become an Iyanifa and help other women too.
Yeah.
To fight for
Thank
who
you.
they really are, never to stop, no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, we're glad you're here. I'm glad that all of you are here, ladies. So this is why I brought all of you ladies with your backgrounds, the different exposures to the different types of tradition, which all sort of blend together. And well, here we are, and we're talking, we're mixing, we're friends. You've all been former guests on the show, so this is what we want to talk about, a little bit about these traditions and how we came here. So thank you for that. So I'm going to dive into the first question. And the first question is, what do you think is the philosophy behind the type of the African traditional religion that you follow? And what was its appeal? Or was it something that was not so much an appeal, but something that you stumbled on, or a progression? What was it? What is the philosophy that you find is, something that you adhere to and that you follow?
I will give
Anyone? Beth?
the
We'll
step.
start with you.
I will give the step to them, and then I will answer myself.
Okay. So Beth, did you want to go ahead? I don't want to put you on the spot as the first one.
I don't know if there's like anything I can say specifically about philosophy that made me choose one path or another. I'm pretty open to the iterations, because the tapestry of this religion is very rich and it's very varied, and in my opinion, there's no one absolute way
Right.
following
I agree.
or expressing it. So, I identify at this moment as following Lukumi tradition, but I started in continental African tradition. And it was simply a matter of meeting the sort of people that I felt I could trust, that brought me into this sphere, because my experience was that initially I felt like I was used an awful lot. And to come into...
What do you mean by that? Sorry, Beth.
Like before I met Jerome, I felt like when I was amongst people who claim to be involved in the religion, they seem to have ulterior motives for involving me. And that was uncomfortable, and it got more and more uncomfortable as it went on. And that's where I kind of pulled back for a while and thought, okay, like I still really want to pursue this, because I find that it stimulates me intellectually, it stimulates me spiritually. And what I find is, whether it's continental traditional or whether it's Cuban practice, it's so very, very personal. What you get through this is
Absolutely
your prescription, your covenant with the Maker, and it's yours, and it's yours alone. My path isn't what yours is, or Sue's, or the Iyanifa is on a different path, and yet we have these overarching understandings of our traditions, and we have commonalities. We understand one another in terms of, when we talk about Orisha, when we talk about Ifa, we understand those things sort of communally, but the prescription that you have between you and your Maker through these divinations and initiations is very, very personal. It's very, very personal, and is very, very relevant. And I had never encountered anything like that before in my life. So,
no, I agree with you, and I know we've spoken about that personally, with regards to how personal that role can be with within Ifa or any of the African traditions. Sue, what do you think? Is there a philosophy? Is it your own personal philosophy, or as what Beth had said, is it the draw that there's a real sort of personalized, what can I say, personalized view that you can take and connect with your spirits, or with Oldumare, with whatever your concept is of the greater being or the creator?
Well, the way I came to Ifa was through the divination part. One thing that happened is that in this religious studies group, we each were assigned a different type of divination, and I got assigned geomancy. I'd been using the I Ching for many years. I was like, oh, why can't I study that? Geomancy, what is that? And so we have one of the best libraries in the world in Cleveland. And one part of the library is particularly wonderful because there was a guy who was an Orientalist who collected chess sets and all kinds of books, left his entire library to Cleveland Public Library and made it available. Wow. The library decided to make it available to people so you could go in there and hang around They had occult books dating back to the 1800s that you could go pull off the shelves, but you can't do it anymore. You have to ask for them now. They had too many things disappearing. So,
yeah.
so I started going down the rabbit hole of geomancy and looking in the back of the books, and they're saying something about Ifa. So I was like, well, let me see what that is. So there I was in the library, and I found Ifa Literary Corpus, and I opened that up and started looking at it, and I was like, this is it. This is it.
Yeah.
It was a divination system that was still taught to its own traditional philosophy and practice. And I was amazed. You know, I was like, how come I never heard of this before? Oh, you know, that was because I lived, you know, because of where I grew up and whatnot in Cleveland and the suburbs of Cleveland. So, yeah, no, I had not heard of this tradition. But in that moment, I decided that I was going to find out everything I could about this religious system. And they say that there's something that one thing that's very powerful is a person with an aim. And my aim right then was to find out everything I could. I was going to learn about this. And I even wrote a check and sent it to the publisher in Nigeria to get a copy of that book. And do you know, I actually got it by return post. Yeah. And then after that, things started happening. One thing is like happening. Yeah.
Well, it seemed like the spirits had opened the doors for you.
There's a lot of
synchronicity. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's part of the appeal to this tradition is that when the spirits of the traditions come, these are the ancestors, when they come to us, we definitely adhere to that calling, and there's no going back. If anything, there's a lot more going forward and acceptance, and actually it really does help. It helps on a personal level, as we all have experienced ourselves.
Wasn't just me. There were other people involved in this at the same time who were drawn into it with that same synchronicity. It was very interesting how it worked. Several people want to get initiated. Some are still practicing, some aren't. Some people got those janky initiations fixed up. Some of them didn't. You know, and here we are.
And here we are. And now you're an elder.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Okay, thank you. Ade, I'd like your perspective on this. I know you were born into a lot of your tradition, right? But there's something that was it constantly a pursue, or was it spirits that were calling you? Is there a certain thing that makes you always go forward in your spiritual path?
Well, I would say that I was born with it. I have my ancestors with me. My Joto follow my Oriebe, which is my destiny. I only follow my destiny with not a problem, not putting nothing on my way, nothing. I didn't even care what would they think, what would they say, even from my family, because I have problems with my family. They're completely Catholics, 100% Catholics, and other ones too. So I didn't care about anything, to be honest. And I consider that a philosophy, when you were born for something, no matter what, no matter whatever you want to put in your way, you're still going to go in it. I mean, you might change your way, but at the end of the story, you're going to come up again in the same thing, because they will take you. Your toes or your spirits will take you just exactly for what you came for. So
Absolutely.
I don't see no difficult, no nothing for me in no way. The difficult is the people, because people don't understand. And I understand people cannot see more than we can see sometimes.
That's right.
See? So if we open our minds, we couldn't just follow what we have, and that's it.
No, I agree. No, I
So,
definitely
I mean, basically, I believe in this world has a lot of things that we're still gonna find. And I'm not surprised to whatever I see. I'm wide open for anything.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
No, I like that. All right. That sounds good. So I almost want to ask Jean Jerome, but we won't because I know it'll be a long answer from Jean Jerome. And we're going to focus on the ladies here. So, okay. So thank you, ladies. Each of us obviously have come from a different perspective. The pursuit of our academics, the pursuit of our destiny, the following of our spirits to come on this path. It's this drawing. I get that sense that we're all drawn to go further. Okay, so I think that sort of unifies us here, if I can say that in general. So moving on to the second question here, I want to ask, what do you think the role of women is in the African traditional religious groups? And again, each of us coming from different, from Paulo, from Yoruba traditional to Paulo. What do you think our role as women are? And do you feel that there's enough of a representation of women in the type of path that we follow?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here. I'm here. Completely
okay,
here.
So now I'm going to reverse the direction. We'll start with Ade first, okay?
No, it's okay with her. I was just saying, I'm here. I'm representing all these women. All these women.
Absolutely, that's right. Of all the different religions. So yes, so let's start with you, Ade. So tell me, what do you think? Go ahead.
I mean, for me, it's because I can't speak for others. I can speak for myself. If I speak for myself, I'm excited. I'm completely excited because I never felt like I can't do this. I can't do that. I mean, of course, women are so capable of doing anything. There's the most precious things in this world that they have the whole world for them. They're the ones who rule a lot of things that they don't know. From one to whatever number you want to put, to be honest. Because basically there's other traditions where only women rule, which I will call the Iyamis. I will call the Brujas Negras, which I was initiated, which is the same thing, but in a different country. And we are the only ones who have the secrets.
Yes.
And for the tradition, a lot of women have the secrets, and they're the ones who knows all the secrets from all that. And we're not allowed to say about all that. Besides, we're the women, the one who takes over everything. Hey,
absolutely.
We bring a kid to this world.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. And I want to dive into a little bit more on the role of women in Iyami, with the Iyami
and in Mayombe, I mean, if we don't knock those doors, nobody can be born. That's it. I mean, there's not a lot to explain, to be honest. We just need to know exactly where we're standing, and that's it. No matter whatever they say.
No, I totally agree. So we'll explore that a little more in detail with that. But no, I definitely agree. Now, what about you are also an Iyanifa, so you actually have been initiated. Basically, can you describe to us what an Iyanifa is and how, you as a woman have come to that?
Well,
and how it really benefits women?
It took me a lot to study, to be honest. I needed to study a lot. I mean, I could have become a Iyanifa since day one from my godfather, but for me it was like, let me study because I wasn't that sure at the moment because I didn't know what I was doing exactly. Once I knew, which it didn't took me nothing, I mean, I accepted. Being an Iyanifa, it's to be a responsible. We have so many secrets that we're not even allowed to share, but only for the Iyanifas. Only for the Iyanifas. So without an Iyanifa, there's a lot of things that they cannot be done, to be honest. And I'm sure, and you know what? And to be honest with the, with the thing about the men trying to rule women, it's because we let the men rule this world too. It's awful that all these men do all these things to us. But to become an Iyanifa, it's knowing all the secrets that we have and all the initiations that an Iyanifa is being needed. It's really hard to allow to be born without Iyanifa, to be honest. But the thing is, they're not going to say, that's my tradition. That's in my tradition. I'm not going to talk about other ones. I'm just going to respect it. Right. Because we have John there, and then John is almost going to kill us.
Well, and the other thing is, we have to remember that with regards to being initiated as an Iyanifa, this is really geared more towards women. So women coming into the African tradition, I can go to you and feel much more comfortable because you are an Iyanifa. So we are looking at each other as woman to woman, as opposed to going to, let's say, a male priest, right? So do you think that is true, what I'm saying, that it would be more beneficial? I don't know. I can't even think of an example right at the top of my head, but something that I feel I can only come to you and talk to you about, and you would totally understand that. And there would be ceremonies that you would know what to do in order to heal me as a woman, because you understand it from a woman's perspective, right?
Exactly. We know the medicine. We know a lot of the things. Exactly. We have the knowledge of all that without even having a man around. I'm telling you, if we had a Iyamis only for women, which are the brujas negras, what can I say with that? When men cannot have the secret, or they cannot be initiated with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we will talk about that.
Who are they? John, do you know who are they, Ruby?
Yeah, we do.
Well,
we do.
There you go. There's your answer. Why the man does not have the secret of the Iyamis. They can know how to work with them, but they don't have the secret of them.
No, you got to be born into it. Definitely. Definitely.
Well, John was born in one of them, so it's understandable. That is why he's here with us too.
That's right.
Right, John?
He's not saying anything.
Yeah, we'll go off a line and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we will. All right. So
okay.
did you want to add anything else to that, Ade, or shall we go?
I can let anybody speak if they have any questions. I will answer, but for me it's so easy to answer all this because that's something I love, to be honest. And I think to become any initiation of whatever you want to go, it has to come from the heart and your inside and your ancestors. Absolutely. It doesn't come like that, you're lost. You don't know what you're doing. That is why you're always going to one place and another to try to find yourself. Right.
And the answers are always within. You just need another person to be able to draw that out from you. And that sometimes takes.
And that's how easy you fall. That's how easy you fall from others, because basically you're not sure exactly who you are, who you're following. But the thing is, the answer is on you, on your Jatol, your ancestors.
Absolutely, for sure. Beth or Sue, do you want to add anything to that, or what did you think?
I can go on about my own experience and my own uncovering of what I hold to be the truth, because in the beginning, and part of that swerving, difficult path was that I was fed, pardon my language, a lot of horseshit about the male domination of Orisha culture. And let me tell you something, that's not true. I mean, they might want to think that, but that's not true, because first of all, the very genesis of creation in Yoruba tradition was the thought of the great primordial mother Nana, who gave birth from this god to Ashe. And from Ashe came Olodumare. Olodumare, even the name breaks down to the spirit womb of the great serpent, the womb in Olodumare and the creator itself, right?
Absolutely.
That nothing gets done without the participation of women. And Odu's talking about Mole coming down to earth and not getting anything done because they left Oshun out of the question, and they go back and they go, this stuff's not working, and we've been told to populate the earth, and
exactly
that's not happening. And they're like, well, where's Oshun in all of this?
Exactly.
You didn't ask her. Well, why don't you go back and ask her? And then suddenly things started to work, and suddenly things started to bloom. There are more female Orisha than there are male Orisha, according to what I've been able to figure out.
Interesting.
They considerably more. And I think that what it all comes down to is also maintenance of balance. That, we have the darks and the lights, but we have male and we have female, and one does not work without the other. And we talk about, women's roles, women are equal to men, but they're not the same. And this is a really important distinction that, I think that people come in from, experience with Western and other belief systems, it was pretty down, well, I have to be able to do all of the same things as a man do in order to be equal. But the tradition is the same but different. So there are gendered roles. Personally, I don't have a problem with that. It is what it is. It is what it is. Different traditions have different beliefs around initiations. And it is what it is. And I'm not, cannot and will not make a value judgment about what is correct. Because
absolutely not.
Exist in reality. I tend to follow a Lukumi path. I've been read about 6 times for between the start and today, I've been read at least a half a dozen times. Make yourself a diviner. It's not happening because of the path, the community, and that's okay. That's okay with me. It's probably more work that I'd want to get involved with anyway. But in all truth, it's it really, for me, it really comes down to balance. It really comes down to equal but different. We are so important. I mean, women not only, they form the backbone of all communities. Oh. Hello?
She left us.
No. Okay.
That's probably her battery. That's probably her battery.
Oh, what?
Cat might have got on the counter.
Yeah.
Well, like you were saying, Beth, basically, you know what? Iwori Iche talks about the balance of men and women, basically. That's what it says. That because the men have take over us in a lot of ways, it makes us feel like we're nothing in this world, that Odun talks a lot about us in this world, the balance, women, men. Without women, men cannot have kids. We cannot have kids either. So we need each other, but we need to respect each other.
Absolutely. I should. So.
And there is
That's her battery.
There's a difference.
Okay, John, you take over.
What happened to Teresa? She went away. Okay. So anyway, there's a difference between the sacred and the secular. There's a difference between ritual and everyday life. Yeah, the border is fluid and fluid and sometimes indistinct, but everybody's got their role to play. learn your role and, find out what your expertise is and do it. Learn what you need to do something really, really well. If you're going to do beadwork, be the best bead worker there is. If you're going to be a seamstress, do that. If you're a diviner, be the greatest, diviner, learning from other diviners. And because I used to worry about, because when I first started out, it was like women cannot be initiated to Ifa, and then of course we found that wasn't true. So, she's coming back.
So, sorry, folks. I thought I had pressed the button for my battery pack, and I didn't. And all of a sudden, boom! I was gone. Just at the good part, eh, Beth? All of a sudden, Teresa disappears.
Yeah, and like I said, everybody's got their role and ritual, and the thing is to get all worried about what women do and what men do on a philosophical basis is just going to it's going to run you down a rabbit hole. Absolutely useless. Because you're going to be imposing another set of values, especially if you're going to throw some Western patriarchal values on top of it. No, that's not going to work. This is a different culture. This is a different religion. It is a different reality. When you live in this reality, you will know it. That's what I have to say.
I'm sorry I missed the beginning of that. It sounded really good, Sue.
Wisdom for women coming in.
Words of wisdom.
Any words of wisdom for new women coming in?
Don't be in a rush. Take your time. Listen carefully. Don't take everything as gospel.
No, definitely not.
Sit back, watch, and listen. Don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry. There's plenty of.
And when we say that, not to be in a hurry and to listen, I think you also have to listen to yourself and how you feel about your path going forward. I mean, you can have your readings, okay, but you have to understand that you as a person, that reading may be a snapshot at that moment. But as you go forward, let's say a month or two or something happens or whatever, things change, right? But yes, I would agree with everything that you have said right there, Beth. Don't be in a hurry. Understand that, you will definitely be led down your path and your destiny if you open yourself up to your spirits, to your Joto, okay, as Ade had said. And if you do that, I think that it's to your benefit. So I think we've answered the question with regards to women and what do you think the role of women are. I would agree with everything that has been said, and I think for my 2 cents worth, I think we have to understand the balance. And as Sue, from what I got, the little snippet of what Sue had said, it's a different tradition. And yes, traditionally male, female, but it's also a balance, and not everything is about geared one way, and when I say one way, I mean in a gender spoken way, or that were dictated to by men or males, okay? Because again, we have Iyanifas, all right? So we don't have just males priesthood like Babalaos. We actually have females, okay? Now that can be also very controversial, especially when we're talking about different cultures that are not born into that. And when I say born into that, I'm referring to the Yoruban people in Africa. They don't have a problem with initiating women into being Iyanifas. Traditionally,
depends what you're talking about. Ode Ramo does not initiate women to Iyanifas.
Yeah, it's not universal.
No, that's regional.
No, yes, and that's what I'm saying.
Not universal.
But
because you have lots of towns.
No, it's not. but I think that
Then we could talk about gender. The idea of gender is different. It's not the same as ours.
no. Sorry, there's a delay. I'm not catching your words. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, I was saying that the idea of gender is not the same as what we grew up with.
Exactly.
Right.
Women can be kings. Women can have wives. Women can be kings, and women can have wives and not be lesbians.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's no. And see, I mean, I didn't know that, right? So yeah, so exactly. So we're in a tradition that is open to a lot of things, and it's not just, you know, your traditional male or female, right? So I think that's important to understand that, you know, with regards to women. And as you said, so I have never heard that before, Sue. I think that's amazing, though, you know, that we're able to do that. Gee, I think I'm going to move to Africa. No, never mind. But seriously, I think that's kind of cool, you know, when you think about it.
Oh, wow.
So, okay, so
gender is a social role.
Go ahead, Sue.
Gender is a social role. Gender is a social role.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Sex is what you're assigned at birth.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So
it's the first time I hear this, but it's all right. You know, it's
just
respect it.
Useful, actually.
It's just respect it. I'm listening.
Yeah, I am too. Go ahead, Sue. Do you have anything else?
I'm listening.
I'm taking this in.
Okay. Yeah. There's an author by the name of Larry Matori, who did a lot of writing on this particular topic. Where is he? I think he's at Duke now. He used to be at Harvard. And he did a lot of writing on gender and social roles within Yoruba society. And it was some groundbreaking work when he did it because it was in the early 90s. So, yeah, so we can move on to the next question if you like.
Okay, sure. Let's, sorry.
No, but that's really interesting what you're saying, Sue. You know, it's interesting because it's the first time I hear something like that too. You know, I mean, I come from different traditions and mostly either the women are the ones or either the men, because basically in Palo Mayombe, even though the men are the one who has, I mean, that take over the whole ceremony, they can't do nothing without women, but it's still, that's the men, you know? In my tradition, it's a woman and men and all this, but this is really interesting what you're saying. It's the first time I hear this. But let's be open.
Yeah, Palo does more of a flip, definitely. Doesn't Palo? No, they can't do anything without us in Palo, even though within the ceremony itself, our role looks limited. We're not busy, but I'll tell you, if we're not there, it's not happening.
Well,
and same with spa. If we're not there, it's not happening. Yeah.
Okay.
You have to have that female energy has to be there.
No, definitely. I think that definitely has to be that balance. But anyway, so I'm going to move on to the other question because I know Jean Jerome's dying to jump in with his 2 cents worth. No, I'm just kidding.
Help me by John.
Okay, so my third question is, are there any taboos, whatever how you want to say it? What are the taboos if any, in your particular path? And do you think that these are put in place without an agenda, in a non-political, like gender neutral, like more of a gender neutral? Or is it something that that has to do with, you know, I mean, we all have certain taboos that we can't eat pork, let's say, or something like that. But do you think that there, you know, because of our gender, that there's any things that we cannot do? Ladies, any one of you can jump in. I don't want to pick anyone.
I don't know, because of my position now, well beyond you know, being of reproductive age, but, and I don't know how true this is in terms of either Lukumi or, but when I first started out, I was told, for instance, that I could not approach an altar or participate in any ceremonies if I was menstruating.
Right.
And it made me quite happy, in fact, because I could sit back and somebody else could do the work, and I could, you know, enjoy the social life and not have to be, you know, feeding altars or feeding people, for that matter. They kept me out of the kitchen as well. So I took it as an opportunity to be pampered a little bit. That was one of the bigger ones that came up. And of course, then there's also that, you know, difference in a cultural difference between initiating or not initiating women as priests of Ifa. Again, I have no issue particularly with that. I've done my work, and it just boils down to, you know, similar. Different cultures, different traditions, different paths have different ways, and in my opinion, neither is right nor wrong. It just is. It's the isness of it.
Yeah.
Sue, did you have anything to add to that, or Ade? Because that's an interesting. That's sort of like a major taboo, is menstruating women, especially Sue, if you want to talk about Paulo and the taboo of menstruating women.
I'll tell you what Baba taught us, the Owishe. I'll tell you what he told us about menstruating women. He said the only work that we couldn't do was Ori work, simply because it wouldn't work. He said, are you going to tell me that a woman for a week out of every month, if her sister comes to her and needs her help and she's on her cycle, you're going to turn her away? No, you're not. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. He says, yes, you do things. Now, you don't touch the Ifa implements, because then they have to do some work to kind of recharge them. But other than that, the only thing you couldn't do was rework, because it wouldn't work right. It just wouldn't take. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, and follow later in life, so I don't know how they do with them.
Yes, I've had similar information from, actually, I believe it was one of the Bourbon line was saying, like, that's nuts. You know, like there's not like a broad restriction at all.
Okay.
That's why I say I don't, you know, I've come to that place where I'm not, you know, it doesn't affect me personally, but I do know that, again, there's a camp that says one thing and a camp that says another thing, and
right. Okay. Ade, do you have anything to share on that, or any other things?
Basically about Palo, to be honest, it depends wherever Munanso you go to. any house, any casa, anywhere you go, all the tatas, they're different. They have different, you know, tabooses and stuff like that. So it's kind of a little difficult to just focus on one thing when somebody's going to say one thing and another's going to say another thing. You know what I mean? I mean, as me as Jaja, I'm fully a Jaja, and I take ceremonies. I help my god kids too. My Pino Nuevos, how they called it, tatas, bacanfula, and stuff like that. So I have no issue with none of that. That's what I said. It depends where you're coming from, how they teaching you, or how they teach you, how explain to you, and besides how much you learn too. I mean, if you're quite open, you will learn more than what they're telling you, and you're gonna go far more than that. Hola, mi amor.
Absolutely.
No, good point.
That's how it is.
Good point. Okay.
Thank you, Mom. My son. Don't think that. My son.
Aw, that's so sweet. Flowers.
So that's how it is. I mean, tabooses, if we talk about tabooses, it depends where you go. I mean, in what tradition are we talking about? Because if I go to the African, Cuban, they have a lot of tabooses, and besides their odus, their signs, depends on that. So if I go and I say, this is my sign, they're going to tell me this whole thing, you know? And when I'm with my godfather, my baba, he's not going to tell me nothing in my tradition. So I understand if I'm going to one way or in another. So I understand what they're going to tell me already, because I have walked those places already. So when you already know where you're standing, I think you have no issue, no problem, and you don't confront anybody, because remember, we don't have the truth. No one has the truth in this case.
Right. No one has the absolute truth. Okay.
Exactly.
Good point.
Yeah.
It's a spread. It's a spread. It's just a spread.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Interesting. All right. Okay, I'm not going to ask that other question with regards to that, but anyway, so I'm going to go with our fourth. It's not a question so much as what I want to do is I want to discuss, again, based on cultural experience or observation, are we being fairly represented? And again, basing this on the experience of Iyanifas, the role of Iyanifas, the role of Iyami within Ifa, and the role of Orishas and the Lua. So let's tackle that subject, because I know Ade had touched upon that. So I want to start with Ade, and if you want to sort of give us a little bit. I mean, you are an Iyanifa, and also you understand the role of Iyami. So
exactly. Yes.
So can you?
I understand the role.
I mean, let's face it, and you can go to some different house within Lukumi tradition. You say the word Iyami and they freak out. Okay, and what is this fear? The fear of what? Women coming into their power as women, and then being assigned, title as witch. It's almost as if it's a big scary thing. Well, let's face it, women have power, and this is something that exactly, what's wrong with that? But this is a power that men fear. Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. Talk about the role of Iyami, all right, and the role of Iyanifas, and why this is such a, is it because of our gender? Is this because we're being controlled because of our gender? Let's face it, there's a lot of
because they cannot control us. That's what it is. That's the reason why, because they cannot control us. Having knowledge as a woman, having all those secrets and all those things we know, being a wise woman and Ifa, for them, it's scary because they think we're gonna do something. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this about Atata. He told me once, you know why you shouldn't have a caldero? I go, why? Because your women get mad and will do anything against us. And they're scared of all that. The Yamis, we're talking about the same thing. That's something they just don't know about it. how much deep we can be as a Iyamis, as a brujas negras. But I don't think so. Even though I have the initiation since I was little, I never tried to do anything like that. I'm heartless. I have the knowledge, but I don't do nothing to nobody because they can do it their own selves. See?
Give them enough rope. And...
Yeah.
Give them enough rope and they'll hang themselves. Or sometimes you have to hand them the rope, you know? I mean, I don't know. I didn't say that really. I don't
think it's necessary because the people, they can just do their own selves, their own things. It's the way we think, the way we act. It's our reaction in this world. You know, the way we want to do things, that's the things we're going to get.
Yeah. It's a great mirror.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is that it's more about it's not the energy that we put into it. It's that energy that when we decide to withdraw our interest from it and our attention and see what happens.
You
know, it's
sort of like floating or stat.
You know,
focus on
like they say, I don't know her. I don't know her.
I think Olodumare is completely us with that.
You know, I don't know her. Pardon me?
I believe that Olodumare is completely with us.
It's kind of
all the way.
Well, I mean, I look at Olodumare as genderless, really. It is more of an energy. And because it's kind of, if you think about it, the creator is within all of us, okay? That's my own personal philosophy. We're all creators, okay? So in that sense, you know, we have that power. And why can women not have that power? And why is it so frightening? I mean, is it because we give birth? We're able to give birth and life, and men cannot? Is that the big secret that scares, you know, some?
Exactly. Exactly.
I think that's right.
That's the main thing. That's what makes us more strong.
Exactly. And you know, it's without sounding crass or you know, to try to sound cheap about it, but there was a meme that was going on once on Facebook. I mean, women bleed sometimes for 7 days and we don't die. Okay. I mean, like, what kind of strength is that? You know, we bleed for 7 days straight and then we come back. It's this renewal. And I looked at that and I thought about it. It's because we are able to renew ourselves all the time, every month. You know, we shit ourselves off, you know, like, we know this as women, our hormones, everything takes over us, whatever. And then at the end of that whole cycle, it's like, boom, you become this clean, calm person again. Not to say that we're constantly frantic, but you know what I mean? We as women, we understand that hormonal overtake, right? But that's the thing that is unpredictable, and is the unpredictability that's scary.
Bookmark right there. Bookmark that statement right there. And then once you're finished, then I'll make a comment as to the earlier question about why in Afro-Cuban and in many traditions, women which have their period are told by the spirit, not just by the priest, or by Ifa, not to touch their spiritual tools, Orisha, Enkisi, and so forth. That statement you just made right there is one of the practical reasons why
what can I just say?
That taboo exists. So from your own lips, you just voice the practical reason why it's not recommended for women to touch or do certain things when they're in their cycle. To be continued.
I wish I could answer that and tell you exactly why, but I'm not going to, because basically I'm putting a big secret on somebody that we don't know what they can do. So I'll keep that shut on mine. And I'm not going to say it because I couldn't say it, but I'm not going to do that. I won't do it because I know people don't have a good wise to do that.
No, you can't. Yeah, that is a secret. But I'm going to refer
exactly. That's a big secret. Why?
But that's a different reason. That's a different reason.
It's a double blade. It's a double blade thing. To be honest, it's a double blade that can do and not do. And so I rather not to say nothing about that and keep it like that better. Because you never know who can come to your home and do something about it. So I rather say that one.
Exactly.
I love you too.
I don't know what the hell I just said. That just opened up
It's okay. John and I will talk about that, and I'm sure John understands what I'm saying.
Oh, I know exactly. I know exactly what you're saying, but we can't speak
exactly
because that's
and
something
we have to keep it. We just need to keep it and leave it like that. Better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
For safety.
I mean, we can have our own opinion on that. So go ahead, Beth.
It's not even an opinion. It's a spiritual. It's a spiritual reality. But we'll talk in private. That we have to take off.
Okay, not a problem. Beth.
Yes.
If you wanna, or Sue, you can jump in now.
I'll fight right now.
John. Okay. All right.
Let's get ready to rumble.
I'm not sure I have much to add to this.
Oh, there's no room there.
Because you know I'm just itching and dying, and I'm not going to say it.
Off the air. Off the air. Off the air.
Off the air, yes. Off the air. Let's talk about it. Okay, so we won't touch that. We won't touch that. Okay, but so anyway, so what's your take, Beth, in regards to discussing the cultural differences or experiences as Iyanifas and what women are looked upon as Iyami? Sorry, Jean-Jerome, can you just flash that back? What Ifakemi said. I know exactly as well, so let's stay mum on that one. Yeah, let's. God knows we'll open that door and go.
No, I seriously don't think that I have much to add to this discussion. I mean, I have understandings about some of it, but and I know that, but I'm not. I don't feel that I can contribute more.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Sue, what do you think? I mean, you have a very interesting perspective.
There is nothing more that I could say about that hasn't been said.
Nobody wants to touch
there's
this one.
Nothing more I can say about that has not been said.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. All right. So we won't touch that with a 10-foot. We won't touch that one with a 10-foot pole. Okay, let's just drop that one. Mic drop. Okay, Jean-Jerome, go ahead.
How about an Asian Hungarian?
No, you still had one more question, Teresa.
No, that was it.
No, there was one about the familiarity related in terms of the within. Let's focus primarily on Orisha. The duality and sometimes the fact that certain paths of Orisha or certain Orisha that are often described as male, depending again on the lineage or the location, have female paths, which are sometimes, considered to be just Afro-Cuban or just this or just that. But in reality, different lineages, different city-states within Nigeria, within the Yoruba land, had different, depending on the culture, the ethnicities as well, different characterizations of certain Orisha where in some places they were considered to be male, in reality, other paths or other locations describe them as female. So a little bit about that from Beth's standpoint, Iyanifa's standpoint.
You're right. We were just talking about this last night, given my Ori and the fact that my Ori, my Orisha Ori, has been represented in certain paths as a female aspect of a ultimate male Orisha. In our line, she is looked at as distinct in her own right, and definitely female. And it's, again, neither right nor wrong. Different traditions, different communities, whether they are in Africa or in the New World, hold their own opinions on that. Another one that I used the example of when we were talking last night was Olokun. And some traditions hold that Olokun is a female spirit, and some hold that Olokun is a male spirit. And, in my case, of Oshana is considered to be a female path of Obatala by some traditions, and ours independent and standalone. And that opinion is held in some communities and in some lineages, and not in all. So I've had some information presented to me where she's also has got some strong ties to a historical Yoruba royal sorceress. But that part of it is very, very fluid. And of course, we know that anybody can get any Orisha when they are read, when they receive their hand of Ifa, and you don't always get an Orisha that is of the same sex as you are. That's very much part of the divination process. And so we can't even divide gender along those lines. Like, all women do not get female Orishas.
Right.
It's the Orisha that rules their head, and all men do not get male Orishas very much.
Right. It really depends on the reading.
Yeah,
Your reading.
It depends on the reading.
Ade, did you want to share anything on that?
Yeah.
I'm clear. I mean, it's not many to say, Beth just said it. So basically, it's like, now, I mean, not much to explain about it. I mean, what it is, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right. It's read for you, and
That's it. What Tosman and Anita, that's what Anita is. Either men or women, male, female, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just what it is.
This is what I love about this tradition, though, is that it is so richly varied and complex. And, there's these movements about to try and homogenize Orisha practice to make everything the same. If you want everything, go to church.
Exactly.
So which one, though?
This is part of the great beauty of this religion, is that it's such a kaleidoscope. And I never want to change.
No, I don't think any of us do, because, uniquely we find our own way and find our own path. And as women, we find our own path and we find our unique belonging, right? Even if it may be controversial.
It's really hard in a way. Yeah, it's fine. But I mean, as long as you know what was your thought or your oriebe, you're fine with it. Doesn't matter if it's a male, female. Like in my case, being a dibere, it talks about a male. And that's why I'm so strong in certain ways. So that's how I started learning about myself too. So once you learn, and I mean, you teach your own self who you really are, and then you will understand more about yourself and exactly what you need to do.
Absolutely.
On destiny.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So just to be clear, like if we take a few categories.
And when you get initiated, stuff changes.
Go ahead, Sue. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go. No, Sue, you first.
I was okay. I was saying that once you get initiated and you have that etat, things start to change. You'll find out things will change for you.
Absolutely.
You know, a big shift. That's all.
Definitely.
Life
Okay.
is like a puzzle.
Good analogy. I like that. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Go ahead, John Jerome. You look like you want to
just to cite a few examples again, like within the family of all the paths of Eshu, there are Eshus that are, Eshu, when you talk about Eshu, most people associate Eshu as being a male energy, right? Especially a leg bite and all that, usually exemplified by the symbol of the phallus. But there are many paths of Eshu. There are other paths of Eshu which are female. Like Eshu has a female, like has a mother, which is called the mother of the Eshu, which is Bururu Aye. So that's just one example. He has a wife, an Eshu path, which is his wife, represents his wife, female. Babalu Aye, they're usually associated with the king of the earth, of the hot earth, of the red earth. Babalu Aye has, and Asohana has paths which are female. Okay? Osain, which for many is strictly a male deity deformed as well. Osanin has female paths, depending on the lineage or depending on the region, not in Cuba, but in Africa, in Nigeria. Obatala, as we said, within Cuba, we have Oshanla, which is one female Obatala, where Obatala takes on an archetypal, because there are many paths, Obalofun, or Shagrinyan, or Obamoro. So like that, we have example of Oshosi, oftentimes described as a male hunter, right? Owner of the left path, a brujo. But there are lineages where Oshosi is female, like essentially an Artemis or an Athena, right? So if you go through the different Orisha, with a few exceptions, which are to this day, I mean, tomorrow I might get surprised in another write-up or in another lineage, or somebody says, Baba, there's this, we have this female. But so far, there are a couple of exceptions to it, like Ogun, for instance. As far as I know, Ogun has never had a female path, as far as I know. Okay? That's one example. Shango has always been male by excellence. Okay, so just to give a few examples, but it is very we talked about Olokun. Some lineage Olokun is male, and others Olokun is female, right? And some is described in Erosome as being who knows, right? It could be, one doesn't know whether it's at the bottom of the ocean, meaning it could be hermaphrodite, male and female, right? So just to give a few examples of some Orishas that people would swear that it's male, but where depending on the lineages and depending on the path and depending on the Oduifa and depending on the Oduifa and the Itan from a particular region of Nigeria or in Cuba or in Benin, if it's a Fonwe or Fagbasa, or in Togo or in Ghana, if it's Afa and those schools, you may find, and same thing with Voduns that have male and female aspects or attributes, right? So it's very pervasive throughout our traditions, where depending on the order, depending on the region, a particular region may have either male or female path or sign, right?
Obedi. 100% obedi.
Yeah.
Exactly. Wherever you go, whatever we just need to respect it. It doesn't matter whatever it is. I mean, we cannot be saying that we have the truth when we don't have the truth. So that's how it is. So in some places they might have the females, which only for us can be only males or different names. Everything is obegi.
100%. 100%.
Okay.
Here's a question.
I learned to never say never.
100%.
Yeah. It's just, you can't say that because it's like, I can say, oh, Sakiriñan, it's a male, this and that, but for someone else, it's going to say it's a female. So I'm not going to come to that contradiction of it. I'm just going to respect it and understand why they think that way. That's the only thing I do. I think that's the best thing I can do, is just listen to them, listen to wherever I go, and just learn and respect it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we have a question that says, how did your lives change after initiation?
Okay, I'll go, because even though I haven't been fully initiated, I haven't found my Orisha. I have received Orisha. And initially I had an Ikofa ceremony, which a lot of people questioned. And in that, after the fact, I was called Ishu, was my Orisha Ori. But there were so many questions about that, and so many people here in Cuba, African persons who were curious, were going, that just doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right. Cut to the chase, I had a verification done where it was revealed that the Odu was correct, which was a huge relief to me. But the Orisha changed. And when that Orisha changed, particularly after I received that Orisha, well, Teresa was witness to this. She's commented on how much I seem to have leveled out. Yeah. And even to the effect that, Sue asked me one time, she was like, have you lost your taste for spicy foods yet? And at the time, I had to say no, but I'm finding more and more. It's like, Rob, can you put a little less jerk on that? It's like, and, it's like, I don't drink as much. I don't it just, everything kind of went calm. And,
calm.
And I mean, ask Rob, I'm not always calm. But certainly compared to like how I feel inside most of the time is enormously different from how I felt before that change was brought about. And I can't say that the first reading was necessarily wrong, but it might have been right for the time. But in this case, there was enough question about it that I just wanted to put it to rest, and that's been to my benefit. It has been to my benefit, and I've since I've been able to find full-time work. It was something that eluded me for my entire adult life. I was in my 50s before, late 50s before I got a full-time permanent job after 20-some years of being precariously employed. And there are
on
things
contract,
that really, beyond having been on contracts before, but I mean like on permanent hire, that was different. And so many things like just came and fit into place for me. And I would point out that having that course correction was a huge benefit to me.
Sue? Yes. Sue, what's your take on that?
The big change
Go ahead.
I got really settled into my career as a mental health professional and a counselor, and practice is continuously informed by the tradition. I figure my thinking is everybody has their destiny. Everybody has their own destiny, and we're honored. I'm honored to cross their path for whatever period of time I'm in their lives. And my job is to do good.
Ashe.
Sure.
And my life was not really like that before.
No, for sure.
So, yeah,
100%.
that's,
And Ade,
yeah.
how do you feel about that? Your life
Well,
changing. It's constantly changing. I feel like with you, it's a constant movement forward, right?
I consider mine is to prevent more about my future, my grandsons and everything. Because one of my daughters, the Ochuncita, it's coming with the same strong feeling and everything I have. If you guys already know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So
Yeah.
basically for me, it's a better life in wisdom, especially for my grandkids and family, my godsons, and everyone else. I don't feel no difference because remember, I become, since I was born with my grandmother, the only thing I can say, Ibashe, to my grandmother and to everyone else too, that they were in my path when I was born, and to walk with me all the way where I belong, because I still need to do something else. I'm still not done yet.
No.
I have more to go
Ashe.
and more to share
Ashe.
with everyone, because that's the most great feeling we have, all of us, like you, like the ones who are here, Beth, Sue, John, we're sharing. And that's the best thing we're doing right now.
Absolutely.
I see.
Absolutely.
And I love it. I love who I am, and I love who am I going to become soon.
Sure.
Nice.
I see.
For sure. So, Jean-Jerome, do you have anything else to add to the conversation? Or shall we wait till after we go off live to continue our interesting topic that kind of arose?
No, I think I mean, we've covered a lot of good material, and I think some of the topics would be best to take them offline
Absolutely.
in more detail. I do believe it's important, though, especially being women as well, to point out, because over the years we get a lot of messages. I know Ade has gotten many times, and Sue and Beth, and even yourself, Ray, and myself, received many situations where, as women, uh, they're led to believe certain things which are very false, and it goes back to the issue of women trusting their own common sense, their own intuition, and their own spirits. So I think rather than it coming from myself, but coming from you as female practitioners, what I'm talking about is abuse in our communities and all that by male practitioners. Things like sexual abuse, or using the religion, or the initiation, or the practice, or the divination, or the ibbo as a direct means, almost a blackmail, to say, if you don't sleep with me, if you don't do this, then
Good point.
Your spiritual wife for the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
John knows my story. He knows everything what we've been through, huh, John?
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, serious situations like I know, where women. I mean, Ade in her show, where she has weekly with the community internationally, but especially in California, a Spanish-speaking audience primarily. Many times, she's heard, and in her own practice, women saying that they went to a practitioner and they were told that they had to sleep with a practitioner in order to have an ebo done, or in order to have the magic enter them magically, things. So rather than it coming from myself, I mean, you all know, I often publish this, that under no circumstances with any Oduvifa instruct a woman to have to sleep with or need to do sleep with the priest or priestess, for that matter, but the priest, in order to have the medicine, the ebo, the initiation, and all that, be effective, and for it to be in alignment with their death, etc., etc. So if you ladies would like to either comment on not without going to names, of course, or for confidentiality, but your message to women about safety, common sense, and being cautious of that, right?
I mean, it happened to me. And I would say to women entering into these situations, like, listen to your
intuition.
To your intuition. Listen. If it feels wrong, it is wrong.
Yes.
And like you say, there's nothing in the Odu that would support that.
No, absolutely. And
my naivete in the beginning, and were trying to control me and use me for purposes, listen to your. And then actually, it was supported by a reading that I had, and the reading said, "Get out! There's people there who don't have your best interests at heart. There's people that are stealing your ire. And so that was enough to propel me out of the situation where I was being put in situations that I didn't want to be in, and I didn't think that I should have to be in.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
If someone says something like that, run. Go.
Exactly.
Leave.
Yes. Yeah. Like, let the door hit you on the way out. just get out.
Yeah. And we have a comment here. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and strength. I'm honored to have had this time to listen to you. For Tanya. Thank you, Tanya, for tuning in. Listen to your Ori. Yes.
Listen to your gut.
Listen to your Ori. Listen to your heart. Listen to your intuition. Listen to your spirits. We don't, we don't talk about that much, do we? But this is very much. The African traditions are very much about spirits and dealing with spirits and our ancestors. And that's something that we need to listen to. Okay. That's what I feel.
I'm very, I don't think I would be where I'm at today if it weren't for listening to my gut, but listening to Ifa, listening to what I was told, and listening to the voices of my ancestors, who I've said this before, they did not want me to become a cautionary tale for other people. I mean, I can go about and say I was, in these situations that were difficult and inappropriate, but that it was my ancestors saying that, like we didn't live so that you should be in this situation.
Move, That's right.
No.
That's right.
There's a comment here made by Charles Spencer King. Understand that what JJ just said is an absolute. Never is sleeping with a priest required for anything except pleasure when it is not taboo. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think as women, I think we owe that to ourselves, self-respect.
Prende la luz del pasillo. Del pasillo.
So anyway, so I think we're going to conclude our show here. I want to thank each of our ladies that were able to attend, and you too, Jean Jerome. I think we
Teresa,
covered some.
just before you conclude, if we can get Sue's experience comment on this and Ade's comment on this, because I think this is one of the things I wanted to make it good, because I know collectively between Ade and myself over the years, we've received so many situations. Like I've seen people literally crying on Ade's lives, telling their stories and the abuse and rapes and things like that and then the cover-ups and everything else. So as this is a show to talk about the role and the dignity and sanctity of women within the tradition, I just want to make sure that as women you're able to sort of let other women know that, hey, this is not part of the tradition, right? Shouldn't be part of the tradition.
Right. Sue, go ahead.
Yeah, I have been talking about this for years, that, there are a lot of situations that look like spiritual groups that are really just covers sexual exploitation and human trafficking. And if you see this kind of stuff, unless you want to be involved in it, get out. Walk away. I don't care how much money you've already spent, get out. Get help. Reach out to the many Iyalorisas who are online who are working against sexual abuse in our tradition. There are organizations now that are working against sexual abuse in our traditions. They have had seminars online. They have been free to anybody who wants to. And there are women who are constantly reaching out against fraud and exploitation, because it's not just sexual exploitation, and it's also financial exploitation. It's exploitation of children. That you have people who are in the tradition that are grooming children for sexual abuse. Don't leave your kids alone with people you don't know.
Ashe.
Don't be stuck in situations alone with people you don't know.
Ashe.
That you don't know well. If one big clue is, if the other Orisha priests in a community don't deal with the person, and they are like not anywhere to be found, that is a sign that something stupid is going on. And that eventually it's going to come out in the open, and it's going to be a messy mess. That's all. People lie about their initiations. They say they're made to, and then you start asking them, well, where, who, when, and it's like, you ain't got nothing. Oh, you say you're scratching Palo. Who's your family? Where's your Manaza? Who's your people? Who, because everybody got people. You were born somewhere. That's all. So, yeah.
Ade?
Well, first of all, the better thing is never go by yourself. Always be with somebody else too. Make it 2 or 3 people involved, just to go with you wherever you decide to go for any cleanse or anything you want to do. Don't go places where you're not supposed to, because I have heard women going to motels just to have a cleanse. And I mean, if you still do for some reason, because sometimes I see people, I do readings on motels and things like that, but not by myself either. I don't do it by myself either. I'm always with somebody. I always have someone too with me, unless if I know the person, I have no problem with that. But the wise thing is be with somebody all the time. Don't go to a place when you're not supposed to, when you feel that you're not supposed to be going. And another thing is that if you're getting help, why are you getting, all those love words like I always said? When somebody starts flirting with you, you start flirting with them only because you want something for free. That's a big mistake too. Okay, so we're not gonna only say it's their fault too, because some of it's our fault too, because we think we can get some things free. I have seen people like that too, and that can get us in a big situation that we're not gonna get out of it so easy too, because we get into the situations too. But I mean, there's so many things that you can tell right away if you follow your instinct about something negative.
Yeah.
Because I have people too that women, they have been going with the whole family, and whoever's gonna do a cleanse, doesn't matter if it's a chaman, a curandero, doesn't matter whatever it is. They will say, you know what, only by herself. And once they say, take off your clothes, it's like, what the hell? Why am I doing this? And still, they still do it because they believe on what they tell them.
Whoa.
It's like, why are you going to get naked to somebody
and
you don't even know and you have someone else beside? Excuse me?
Oh, the spiritual cleansings and like baths, same gender all the time. Men with men, women with women. I've heard of situations where a male priest was peering into.
Okay, it could happen. Let me tell you something. I have my godfather that had done something like that, but I will take over the rest. There's a point where you can do that. You can help them. When you really want to help a person, even though if it's a male or female, will know when it's the time to respect that person and walk away to let the other person finish what you start. And you explain to the person exactly how things are going to be.
This was inappropriate.
Exactly. Why? Because sometimes we can have situations for emergency, and if I have a male with me and I don't have somebody else with me to help me out, and I need to do this ceremony, I'm going to do it. But I'm going to know into what point respecting the male. And I'm going to explain to him exactly what I'm going to do and exactly what he has to do. And come and pick up my mess.
Okay.
Same thing for men.
Yep.
There's a lot of men that are very respected too, and they need to do their job, and that's it. They do their job. But you have this feeling when you know that something is not right. Why not follow it? Why leave kids to priests only because they say they're priests?
Good point.
You never leave a kid or a young kid with someone else. It doesn't matter who he is, what he is, or how public he is. These abuses is not only from other people, they can be from public people too. And very popular. You will be very, very, very surprised to know who they are. And only because this person is this, you trust them. You don't trust anybody.
Absolutely.
And John knows what I'm saying, why I'm saying. Because I've been in spots like, wow, I needed to talk to John or to Daniel Bocono.
Yeah, no, I think it's very important. Again, the basic common sense. If for instance, there's a situation where a younger child, somebody under the age of, let's say, 16, needs to have consultation, even that should be done in the presence of a parent, either mother or father. Whenever as my own practice always learned, male or female under the age of 16, for spiritual reasons, but also for practical reasons, should always be accompanied by a guardian or someone else. You should not be doing a reading, because the information, even at a basic level, even if nothing untoward is done, the information you're revealing sometimes of the situation that child may be facing may be more than what that child or that young person can handle. And it should be basically channeled through or in the presence of a guardian. So, especially for me, like for children at Sager, we have to always keep an eye on our children and make sure they're safe in any tradition, in anything, and make sure that, we take common sense precautions, and that priests or priestesses that are listening to this broadcast respect and honor those and take those precautions in the best interest of children.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah, and avoid taking on students under the age of 18. Avoid taking on students under the age of 18.
It doesn't matter sometimes the age, because things happen no matter what age too. But I mean, of course, we worry about the young ones too, because they don't know. They're just following whatever they're saying. That's it.
Yeah.
So we're talking about sexual exploitation, not just gender female oriented, but also with regards to children, and priesthood that has to be responsible ethically, regardless
especially,
of their
you know what, Teresa? Especially
status.
because a lot of our young women has problems with the period, with our friend. So this is one of the main things too. The priests take over this, like they're gonna do a massage, they're gonna do something. Please, because they go more far than what it is. I had issues like that too with other little women, women basically. So we gotta be careful. Not because we're going through pain or certain things, we're gonna let anybody touch us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you if you want them to touch you, let them touch you. It's up to you. That's what happens.
Yeah, no, true. But, again, it's that you allow it, but are you allowing it under duress? And then that becomes exploitation. And that's something that we have to be very aware of. Just because a priest tells you this and you're so desperate to get help, or, you want to so believe that, maybe if I just take my clothes off or whatever, that this is going to work. Yeah, no, this is something we have to be very cognizant of, don't let the object of something magical to happen or a ceremony overtake common sense. Okay.
That's
and that
a lot of sick things that they can do. And it's easy to tell when it's not appropriated. It's very easy to tell. Because it tells you, your inside tells you very hard, your Ori, your bed, your ancestors, your whatever you have, it tells you like, get away, stay away, move away, because you can tell and you can have the feeling. You can feel it when that person has different thoughts. We can read that people too.
But I'm talking about the very vulnerable, the very innocent and the vulnerable, that they're so desperate with regards to, let's say, pain or the fear of death, and they'll do anything. And then they're at the hands of someone who does not have their best interest. And that's something that we have to remember when people are under duress, regardless of what our intuition is telling us. Sometimes our intuition, when you're in that much pain or that much fear, that goes out the door, and it's like, just help me, and you'll do anything. And that's something that we have to be very, very, very careful of, is to find the right people to help. Okay. Not ones that will exploit you. Right.
Okay.
Get a second advice. Second advice. I had somebody that told me that my daughter was going to die at 1 year. He was lying to me, and I could tell, even though I didn't have everything I have now. And And
Right.
I still had that feeling, and I didn't even go back. I didn't care whatever he said. But some people, they do care, like you said. You know, they're so desperate they cannot hear or understand. I mean, people will use those kind of things just to get you or to get them.
Absolutely.
They'll lie to you. So second advice, it doesn't hurt. Same thing with doctors.
Yes,
You don't go
exactly.
for one, you go for a second one. That's what
That's
I
right.
do.
I mean, that's what the priests of any faith belief system, you're basically doctors, spiritual doctors, right? And you always take second advice, you know?
And again, I just, because in the day and age that we live, that advice goes for male or female, same gender or not.
Absolutely.
Because all the rules are off. So I don't care if it's a woman with a woman. If the woman priestess in whatever capacity, Iyalorisa, Iyanifa, whatever, that Yaya is doing something which to the female, to the woman, which is the client, seems inappropriate or odd or off, that's not part of the belief system. There's no, there's nothing, no Odu Fa or message from spirit that's going to say to do those things, right?
Exactly.
Unless it's, you know, a different situation or consensual or there's interest, and then it's taken outside of the context of the professional work or spiritual work being done. But in the carrying out of the duty, the person must observe common sense, discretion, respect, and treat the person with dignity, right?
Absolutely.
I think that goes for anything, doctors, curanderos, it doesn't matter
100%.
whatever they are, they have to respect.
100%.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm sorry, before we end, I'm going to throw something else in. And then there is also the situation where we have people that will do anything to get initiated, and they'll go to priests and they may, you know, offer themselves. And again, that comes down to the ethics of the priest themselves or priestess themselves, right? Are you going to allow this, you know? That's in a whole other kettle of fish. But anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there and make mention of that. And again, it comes down to the ethics of the priest or priestess of the faith, right?
Right.
And how they handle that and what they do with that, right? Because in the end, it's all going to come back to you and your spirits and your ancestors and the Orishas, etc. They'll get you. Oh, they'll get you.
Oh, yes.
That's what Ade was referring to as well. That's what Ade was referring to as well, right? Because it does happen quite a bit in terms of a tit for tat. And again, it's the separation of the religious function, any type of profession, doctor, right now, the actual work that's being done from the actual human relation aspect, right? So
right.
Absolutely.
And counseling, we call it dual relationships.
Dual relationship.
That's another topic. Dual relationship. Having a relationship with somebody outside what the professional relationship is.
You never know.
So
we never know.
Yeah. You know.
No, that's its own little circle.
Set boundaries early and often.
Yeah. It all comes out in the wash in the end anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, so Jean Jerome, do you have anything else to say before we conclude our show tonight?
You know, I think we've covered you know, a lot of topics I think were necessary and it were good for people to listen to.
Did we have any questions from our audience? It seems like everybody was engrossed in what we were talking about and what we were saying.
There are 10 people actively watching right now, so but they haven't added any more questions. Yeah, no, I think we covered a lot of different subject matters, and that were very important to cover. And one thing as well, I wanted to just remark, because it may have slipped through the conversations. Again, for the issue, Ade, don't kill me. But just for clarity purposes, some things, just to dispel some myths or some misconceptions or things which are unfair. It's an unfair statement to say that, for instance, as we talked about, every lineage, every different part of it has a different understanding. It may have a different variation of ceremony, it may have a different variation on the priesthood and everything else. But quite often, in the topic of Iyanifa, the full focus of the brunt is focused on the Afro-Cuban tradition for not recognizing the ceremony. But in Oderebo, right, in another city, there are where they don't have Iyanifa. By the same token, there are regions which they do. So only for point of clarity, that it's not just a Cuban phenomena or a Afro-Cuban machismo. There is also in Nigeria, there are cities which are very adamant about that. And a lot of the slaves that came over, some of the priests in those traditions came from those regions. So I always say, with a bit of caution in terms of making absolute claim either way, right? Because it's a very polemic issue. And for the other issues, we'll take it offline.
Right.
Okay.
Let's. Okay.
That's fine, John. It's okay. I had no problem with that. I understand. But even in Cuba, they have Iyanifas, and they have in a different way, in a different initiation too. You're right.
That's right.
Exactly, and it's respected. I will just
I can't
respect
hear
whatever
anything.
it is for them,
Here.
as long as I know who I am, and that's enough. It doesn't matter whatever they
Yeah.
say.
Okay. Yeah, your audio came in. Good. Because your audio cut out there.
Oh. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to conclude the show tonight, unless anybody has anything to add. Beth or Sue, is there anything, Jean-Jerome, Ade, before we say our good nights and our goodbyes?
Absolutely.
No escucho.
No. Okay. All right. So I want to thank you, Beth. I want to thank you, Sue and Ade. Thank you so much, ladies, for coming on the show and joining us in this. And thank you to everybody who had tuned in to, and Anka says, great show. Thank you, ladies, for sharing your knowledge. Much love. Yes, and thank you to our audience who tune in and everyone who tuned in tonight. And thank you, Jean-Jerome, for doing all the things that you always do behind the scenes and coordinating and sort of, being that wonderful satellite babalao over all of this. That's going to be another name I have for you, satellite babalao. Jean-Jerome is accumulating so many nicknames from me.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Ladies. Thank you very much for joining us. I think it was an excellent show. It was a pleasure and a privilege to have you with us. And I think we covered some very important topics.
We're just going to say goodbye. Sorry. Go ahead.
Good night.
Good
night.
Yes, good night, everyone.
Everybody.
Good night. Buenas noches.
Ashe.
All right, so we'll say good night live, but let's stay on, ladies, okay? Because we want to finish this one talk.